All right, guys, we're here. We're live. We're back. We're unretired from the podcast because a very special moment in time has now taken place. I'm joined today by my young friend, Mike Timex McDonald, also the number 2 draft pick in the Global Poker League. What's going on, Timex? Thanks for joining me for this emergency podcast situation, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the emergency podcast. Like, it feels good that, when you need one of these to go down, like, I'm the person you call. So thank you.
It's a big day, man. I've been reading. I was at the gym. I've been playing ball all day. I checked my phone. I checked Twitter. I see a post. Alleged insider trading of our boy, David Baazov, man. I mean, with all the stuff that's been going on lately, the rake changes, Pokerstars back in New Jersey, and now this comes up. I mean, did you read about these yet? I sent you the link. What do you think, man? First thoughts on this. You said that you've heard about this being a Canadian. You've heard something about this being discussed in the pipeline, or what were you referencing then?
I know, I know they were investigated a year or 2 years ago, and I didn't really know just how much, how serious that was, or if that's just a common thing when a company gets taken over. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, I know I've heard bits and pieces of this for a while, but this is sure shit hitting the fan type moment. Like, it's between Pokerstars in New Jersey, Pokerstars upping the rake, the head of Pokerstars, allegedly being involved in insider trading. This is a dramatic, couple of days we've got going on.
Yeah, guys. And so me and Timex, when it comes to being authorities on insider trading allegations, I can't say we're as GTO as it gets, but after reading the 2+2 thread, seeing some of the trolls that are commenting in there, I just wanted to put something out there for the people, get a little bit of discussion going on. And I'm sure in the future, other people will write articles about it, and we'll get some other guests on that might be a little bit more familiar with this area. But I've been watching Billions on Showtime, so I feel like I know all about insider trading. If you don't know what that is, it's a show about insider trading in the stock market. So it's kind of this. Let me just read the press release, guys, for people just to let me pull it up here actually and screen share this real quick. I want to make sure I don't put any pornography up here. We are on Twitch, guys. We are on YouTube. Any questions, comments, go ahead and leave them in the chat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure even having seen a couple episodes of Billions makes you more of a GTO expert on insider trading than I am. So you've got a bit of a head start on me.
I believe it, man. I think so. I mean, I feel like I know a lot. All right, let me read this press release for you guys here. It says, I'll just read the general thing. The CEO of the world's largest online gaming company is facing charges of insider trading. It says Baazov and a couple other young gentlemen, along with 3 companies, are being charged with manipulating stock prices between December 2013 and December 2014. It says those people are accused of earning up to $1.5 million over the past 5 years because of insider trading. And I want to talk about that number as well, too. That most people said the number seems pretty low, but I also think that's the number that they can prove. I'm sure in a situation like this, there's probably more money that is being traded if you believe the show Billions, which we are believing that show for sure. It says Baazov's the CEO of Amaya, the point-and-clear company that runs Pokerstars, Full Tilt Poker, and several other online gambling sites. He is facing 5 charges related to insider trading or using privileged information to manipulate his stock price. On Wednesday, Baazov issued a statement that he is highly confident I will be found innocent of all charges. It says the AMF, which I'm assuming is the Canadian version of something similar, the DOJ here in America, began investigating Amaya because of its $4.9 billion acquisition of Pokerstars. At the time, it says, at the time, AMF also raided the offices of Manulife financial and investment banker Canaccord Genuity. And Canaccord was a key advisor to the Oldford Group, the parent company of the previous owners of Pokerstars, which I did find pretty interesting as well. Earlier this month, Baazov said he and several other employees were planning to make a formal takeover bid to acquire controlling interest in Amaya, offering $21 a share. The penalty for insider trading is $5,000 to $5 million per charge, plus up to 5 years in prison. All right, so that's the press release. And just for people who might not have seen anything about this, get them up to speed a little bit. And there is a thread on 2+2. There has been some interesting posts made in there as well. But I guess Timex, first thoughts. What are your thoughts on this, man? What do you see happening here? Do you think this might impact Stars in any type of way? Do you think, in terms of Stars, it's going to be business as usual? Put another CEO in? Do you think Dana Negreanu is going to be CEO? Are these the changes Dana Negreanu referenced on this podcast about good things coming in 2016?
So that's a lot of questions right there. the one I feel most confident about is that Daniel Negreanu will not be the CEO of PokerStars. So I think that reasonably confidently that I don't think he'll be the new CEO. I think that, you know, it's like seeing just situations I've been in myself, how distant I am to markets, and just like how many times in my life someone has just told me, my friend is an accountant at this company and this company is going up. Like I've probably heard situations like this 5 times in my life when I don't even have a job. A lot of my friends don't have jobs. Like it's the fact that I've had plenty of situations where I could have, done insider trading makes me realize that people who are actually buying and selling companies, like they must have so many opportunities for stuff like this. And I guess it's tough for them to get caught, but it surprises me with like how much money and how much greed there is that this doesn't happen just all the fucking time. And it probably does happen all the time, just 99.9% of the time. Either the stakes are small enough they don't get caught, or they're careful enough they don't get caught. But it's got to be a huge it's got to play a huge role. As far as will this affect PokerStars? Yeah, I mean their stock price is already down like 21% today. I mean, granted, as much as people have been hating on PokerStars, they're worth more than they were when they were acquired. Amaya's worth more than they were when they were acquired a couple of years ago. So they're still like, while they're on a big like 1-year downswing, they're still on a 2-year upswing.
Yeah, I believe what happened earlier was the Amaya price dropped 28%, and then they paused trading on the stock temporarily. I don't know if that's still in effect 100%, but that's what I read earlier. And then I did read an article. I'm not sure if this was the source that Amaya potentially might be being investigated for something as well too. So I think we're just hearing the beginning of this. Also, some people in the chat are saying, is that PLP is in the background? There is. That is Pussy Lovin' Pertouche.
Yeah, PLP in the background. He made a quick trip up to Canada. Everyone say hi, PLP. Pratt gives a silent wave.
For those who don't know, PLP is a friend of the podcast, guest of the podcast, favorite of the podcast, and he's currently in the lab right now doing some type of simulation work, I'm sure, as PLP has been known to do in the past.
Yeah, he's over there on the dream machine, figuring out science and whatnot.
All right, so I mean, reading this thread, it's sort of, there's been a lot of bad press on the PokerStars front lately, and a lot of people are associating this bad press with David Baazov as the sort of the face, and along obviously with Daniel Negreanu. And I'm really surprised to see some of the comments in this thread are that everyone seems very ecstatic about this. I hope he dies. I mean, there's some pretty harsh comments. I feel like it's a little bit extreme. The reaction I've seen it. Have you seen any reaction? Have you talked to anybody? Have you seen what people have been saying about this?
So I mean, I haven't read the thread. I'm in a couple Skype groups where people have been like making some comments and stuff like that. I haven't seen too many like I hope he dies. I haven't seen. I mean, I haven't looked that closely, but I'm sure people in general have a giant tendency to take things really personally. Like where he believes he's helping his company out, and like whether like basically. If they weren't involved, if they were just reading this as like a normal news article, they'd be like, oh, a businessman did something unethical, like that sucks. But they wouldn't be saying, oh, a businessman did something unethical, I hope he dies. Like, I think it's just that, what he believes are good business decisions have influenced them negatively. Now they think he should die. Like it's definitely a very, personal attacks there. That's pretty aggressive.
It's been pretty aggressive on the Amaya side in terms of the changes that they've been making for PokerStars, and I think we're all very curious to see, what the PokerStars has to say about this. Obviously, somebody like Daniel, I think Mr. TOS, Lee Jones, shout out to Lee Jones, and who I guess Eric Holreiser might be the other face of he's the name they put on the press release. I'm very curious what PokerStars has to say about this, or if it'll be business as usual, if anything will change on their end too.
I mean, in general, the way I feel PokerStars deals with things is like PokerStars seems to say there's a cheating scandal. It's not like they really don't want there to be cheating. They don't want there to be cheating scandals. If there's so many of these things get uncovered by the players and then swept under the rug. Like they've never said, hey, look, we banned this bot ring, or we banned this multi-account. Like they never do anything. they never do anything publicly that is bad for them, kind of. And even stuff like these rake increases, they pair it in with some really good news. Like, I think they have, a team of PR people that they think are doing a good job, and I think that they're sort of I think that basically there's no chance they come out and say, look, these guys are guilty, they're like fired from the company and we're putting ethical people in charge. Like, I don't think that happens. Like, I think even if this is what they're saying and all those 13 people like go to jail, I think Pokerstars will find a way of distancing themselves from it as much as possible and not trying to keep it out of the media as much as possible. I mean, that granted, that'll be difficult. This is still like probably very early on as far as the legal process or whatnot, but I think that if I were in their shoes, I would probably try to avoid it as much as possible. And seeing how they've dealt with things that I would have dealt with head on, they've been even more passive, so I would anticipate they will try to mention this as infrequently as possible.
Yeah, I don't think I want to read some comments from the thread. So someone made an interesting post, and I did make a reply. So obviously, in the past, I think a lot of people have trusted. This is very speculative. This is what this emergency podcast is about. We're all speculating right here, and I did find this as an interesting post, and I think it sort of ties into the greed shown with sort of what's been happening here. Someone mentioned about the possibility of the RNG. Is there some sort of super using? Is there rig going on? Like in these spin and goes, who are the people that are winning? Where's the money going? I mean, before obviously,
so can I give an example? And people are saying for the spin and goes, I have kind of a funny story there. So people are saying, who are these guys winning spin and goes? Well, I know some people who, basically 3 guys, 2 who I know, each had a big chunk of $1 million spin and go one. Like they got 250 and 350K or something like that. And a lot of the money just went to like, the Gucci outlet, the Prada outlet. Like they'd walk into Sunglass Hut and the people would know them by name. Like there's, I know a couple of poker players who are one of these spin and go winners, and they just went from, zero to hero back to, I don't know, 0 or just half a hero or something, but it went up and down pretty quickly. So I can tell you, it's not just like, Baazov pocketing all these millions. I can tell you there are at least some real people, keeping, designer outlets, designer boutiques or whatever in stock, like in business through their spin and go wins.
Timex, you don't shop for clothes, you don't shop for fashion much, because how much fucking money can you really spend at a Sunglass Hut? Honest to God, you can't. How many sunglasses do these people need? That these spin and go degenerates who bink this store?
Okay. One sec. Pratt might know. Do you know how many pairs of sunglasses they bought? Okay. Okay, he says that they bought too many sunglasses, and the guys do look fucking sick, and their sunglasses look sick. But so I guess it's still just funny that within a couple weeks of this win, they would walk into they'd walk into Sunglass Hat and they'd be like, "Oh, guys, you're back! Like, good to see you." Like, it was I don't know, they were basically spending very quickly, and I would guess most spin and go winners have probably done the same.
Huh. So you don't think it's something that people should worry about? You think that shouldn't be a concern with everything from Pokerstars in the past to right now? That shouldn't be a concern for people out there. They should feel safe playing the spin and goes or playing in some of the games.
Yeah, I mean, I would guess whoever made that comment probably like a month ago was making Pokerstars as rigged comments as well. Like, I think no one likes thinking, hey, I'm not good enough. Like, when I realized I can't beat 2-5 Zoom and I'm like, hey, I'm not good enough, it's a fucking massive shot to the ego. And for all these guys who say couldn't beat poker in 2009, they've been having their ego get beat down for 7 years. And it's easy to just like look for a reason, like assume there's cheating, assume there's, bots, some reason to think that, like, to not have to tell yourself, hey, these people. And I think that, the guys on 2+2 who are saying, oh, look, like there's insider trading, that must mean everything else is unethical about the company. I think those guys are just like sore. I mean, there's always a chance, but I don't see how this changes that chance any substantial amount.
I don't know, man. I think we're just hearing the first of this stuff. Let me see some other comments in the thread there. I saw a couple comments in there, but I think the biggest thing about some of these 2+2 threads, I went into the rake change thread the other day. It's just a lot of I don't know who to listen to. I'm not sure like who's people like who knows what they're talking about. Who's just like putting in 25 sentences for the sake of doing it. It's sort of it's a bit frustrating because I want to read some informed opinions about this type of stuff, and it's really nothing out there, which is pretty sad. But yeah, I think someone mentioned earlier what you mentioned that Mr. Fan posted allegedly he heard about this investigation a long time ago, thought it sort of faded away. It seems like the authorities have bided their time putting together a solid case. Yeah. And he said that he said also this could drag out a long time. It seems Baazov was the main voice behind convincing investors / banks to back the deal. They must be feeling a little peeved that their boy is in trouble. And that's a good point too. Yeah, there's not really not many other good posts in here. Just a couple other posts made about some of the Amaya stock prices over time during some big announcements and stuff like that. And then a bunch of people talking about Dane Negreanu. These are the changes Dane Negreanu. Do you think these are the changes Dane Negreanu was talking about? Because on the pod, he said 2016 there'd be big changes that people would enjoy coming. You don't think this is...
So I didn't listen to that one. So I wasn't able to, get any reads on it or whatnot. I mean, I would guess the positive changes are just getting into New Jersey. Like that has to be, I think that has to be the big positive change.
Yeah, so Pokerstars back in New Jersey for all you guys that don't know. And then 1 or 2 days later, Pokerstars announced they're hiring the rake again. The rake is being raised. Did you get a chance to see the specifics of that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at it, and I mean, so it says that it's going to be 4% overall, which is like when I read 4%, I thought what it was saying is like MTT rake is going from 10% to 14%, and I'm like, oh fuck! Like when I saw the how people were, I was thinking, oh fuck, like this is really bad. The fact that like overall total rake generated will go up 4%, I think is like it's bad, and it's especially bad for like friends of mine who play 1020 and things like that. And in turn, like in rebuys, it's bad, but like also there's a little bit to be said that like a lot of things that happen in the rake structure I think are just that way because they've always been that way. Like effectively rebuys being 1/3 the rake of other tournaments is kind of crazy. Similarly, like turbos having as much rake as normal tournaments is also crazy, but that's when they're never going to reverse it in the other direction, even though like it probably should be, like they have normal tournaments X rake, turbos X rake, hyper turbos 0.2x rake, which they're upping to 0.5. Like I don't think a hyper having half as much rake as a turbo is crazy, but I think if they had like turbos have 2/3 rake, hypers have 1/3 rake or something, that would be perfectly reasonable. Like I think hypers with 1/5 the rake of turbos is kind of insane, and it's nice that we had this for several years. But I think that now like it become like hyper rake sucks, and I mean turbo rake has always sucked and continues to suck. But I think we're
gonna need a goddamn thesaurus. People are gonna need a dictionary to understand what the hell you're talking about right now, Mike. That don't know about the changes. I mean, I know about the changes, but people out there are probably like, "What the fuck is he saying right now?" Let me tell you what Timex is saying real quick, guys. So, multi-table hyper turbo rake will be increased to 5%. The cap on rake at heads up games, I believe, is going from 50 cents to $1.50, which pretty much is a very big, massive change that they're making to the heads up games, which I feel like it's going to really, really destroy the heads up.
It's going to kill reg battling at a lot of stakes, I think.
I think I'm going to talk to WCG Rider about that very soon as well too. Spin and go rake will be increased by 1 percentage points. Of course it will for buy-ins from $1 to $30, 2 percentage points in $3 buy-in. 25 cents, $60, and $100 buy-ins will not change. I think that's going to be. I wish I want to sort of calculate how much money they're probably going to make to stand from that. I feel like I read a couple posts about.
That's huge for them.
Yeah, there's a new mobile platform being launched that'll be able to, and obviously Spin and Goes is going to be one of the primary games, pushed on that platform. And those people aren't necessarily aware of rake. They don't know what rake means. They're like, oh, Spin and Go, let's play. So
yeah,
it's pretty. And it's something I thought about too the other day was that they sort of announced they changed the heads up. They changed the heads up structure. They made it King of the Hill.
Yeah,
I think a couple months ago, and then randomly out of nowhere they're like, all right, it's Zoom now. Like it just sort of came out of nowhere. And then a couple weeks later, they raised the rake and the heads up. It seems like they're just sort of clicking buttons. Whoever's making decisions there is just sort of like, all right, let's try. No, fuck, this didn't. Let's try. It just seems like why would it doesn't make sense to have to change the heads up to King of the Hill and then randomly out of nowhere a month and a half later be like, fuck that Zoom. Like it seems like they're just fishing it up and just being fun players in terms of this. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think, kid?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of changes going on, and these changes don't really seem like they're some part of some like, calculated master plan or something. Like, I do agree there's a lot of like button clicking going on. I guess they're sort of in a decent position in the fact that like if you do click buttons, like, they have a big enough company with enough of a monopoly that like if they click the wrong button, it probably doesn't cost them that much. And like it's possible they click the right button and it makes more. Like, there's like if they don't really know what they're doing, experimenting with some things, like it can't hurt too much. Like I don't know. I think that they've already done so much to like piss off the players, and like here we are still almost all playing on stars, that they probably might piss us off a little bit. It's rare. It's unlikely that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So I mean, I do agree. It doesn't seem like some like well thought out business plan. It seems like they probably have a bunch of data for like what where they're making money, where people are cashing out a lot, and they're just trying to think of like, okay, what games lead to a large percent of deposits leading to cash outs, and they're seeing like which formats of poker those are, and then trying to like fuck with those formats to ensure that people don't cash out as much. Which I think is a good idea so long as deposits stay the same. But I think they're operating on this assumption that like deposits won't be like elastic to these changes when they could be like very elastic, and it could just end up in situations where people just stop. Like I've been talking to friends recently, and I kind of think that like, and this is not fun, especially when like poker was my dream and it worked out for me, but I feel like in a lot of ways the like dream of coming up through the poker ranks is like almost dead. Like it's really, it's so tough. It's so tough to move up, and especially it's so competitive that the people who are intelligent enough to like whatever go from micros to nosebleeds in 5 years are intelligent enough, if they just like stuck with university, got a good job, they'd probably get something else where the ceiling poker. I think the dream of being like a 20-year-old millionaire or something is like almost it's not what it was 5-10 years ago, and it's only going to get worse.
You said a couple of things there I want to talk about. The last thing you mentioned was the dream. I mean, unless you're Fedor Holes, you probably aren't going to be a 20-year-old millionaire from poker these days. Or the other guy, Dmitry Urbanov or something like that, I guess. But I think
even take those guys, like they're young in the sense that they're young compared to me and you. But he's like what 22, 23, and he's been playing for I don't know, probably 7 years or something like that. Like it's like he probably I don't know what the date is, but like he probably came up in like 2010 era poker, whereas and Dimitri's somewhat similar, where like that's not the same as coming up in 2016 poker. Like it's still like I would bet that like there's a few like outliers like those guys now. But the idea of someone like that, in 2020 who came up in 2015 poker and is like a smasher who's like, rolled for 10Ks when they're 20 years old or something, I feel like that almost can't happen, especially because nowadays, like, I think it could happen more if you get in the right stable for like the right game online. Like if you get good PLO coaches, you could, maybe like beat up on mid-stakes PLO kind of thing. But especially if you're wanting to transition to live, like when I transitioned to live poker, I was a tell box, but like 0 people at each table would be good at reading people. And this will be the same with every other 18-year-old, but there'll be a tell box and there'll be like 6 well-situated pros who can just read them well. Like it's so much tougher for, for people to rise through the ranks when there's just like thousands or tens of thousands of like talented pros, like sitting there, like ready to, battle and like push smaller edges with bigger bankrolls and just, thousands, tens of thousands of hours more experience. Like it's really really competitive out there.
Now, I remember actually when you first started playing live, I believe that you were a tell box because I remember Jamie Gold was able to get a read on you that he put you on jacks.
He
And
knew
tried
it.
to put you off jacks. You know?
He knew I had jacks. He thought I could fold it, and that's what I got for calling with jacks. Yeah, it was.
I mean, you clearly were a tell box. You let him know you had jacks with the way you played the hand, and he knew you had jacks. So, and I mean, maybe that just goes to show that maybe people are. I don't exactly know what it goes to show, to be honest with you, but I want to.
Maybe I should have folded the jacks. Yeah.
I mean, you knew that he was going to make a set, but in terms of the dream being dead, I don't think the dream is maybe what I don't necessarily know the current landscape of the No Limit Hold'em micro stakes economic system. When I came up playing 10 cent, 25 cent, and rising through the ranks there, it was still very possible. New players were able to do that. Were able to move up to the mid stakes, play 5-10, play 10-20. I'm not sure of the feasibility these days. I don't even know how much action really runs above 5-10. But I don't think the dream's dead. I think you have to be more creative with the dream if you want to approach it from a cash game perspective. Whether it's playing on multiple different sites, whether it's really understanding the rake and how it affects your win rate and in which situations. I mean, I think you'd have to be more creative. I think less people are going to get to even 2-5 Zoom for No Limit or PLO, just by function of there's not that many games that run, and there's just there's not many players that play there. So to break into that play pool as a regular, it's going to be very hard. And who knows if it'll be possible now with, the rate getting higher at the, I don't know for sure. I don't want to say that for sure if it's getting higher at the stakes below 50 cent dollar at PLO No Limit, looking at here on the Pokerstars press release. But I don't think the dream's necessarily dead. I don't think it's as easy as you mentioned. People are working very hard, but I do think it is still feasible. You just got to be extremely fucking hardworking. And you got to be creative, and you probably need to be smart. You probably need to be talented. Probably need to be disciplined. You probably got to be a lot of things these days.
Yeah, I guess it's just like when I just looked at say like what my group of poker friends was like 8 years ago, and just saw how many like life leaks everyone had. Like not everyone was that smart and stuff, and then comparing that to like the high stakes landscape nowadays, it's like everyone's smart, everyone works hard, everyone has like good life habits. I mean, I'm slightly exaggerating here, but it's just,
I know what you mean. Yeah, as a general, most people tend to have these qualities who are having success at the higher stakes these days.
Yeah, people have just gotten, it feels like, it used to feel more like being a high stakes poker player was kind of like, I don't know, becoming like a lottery winner or something like that, where you just like, it was just like a bunch of people like who just happened to find this thing, be at the right place at the right time, and make a bunch of money. And now it feels like, becoming a poker player is like, becoming a doctor or something, where you like, you go and spend years and years and years of hard work, you make big sacrifices, and like the end goal is still like, less financially viable than being or less financially sweet than being a lottery winner. Like it's I think the biggest winners are winning so much less than they were a couple of years ago, and the number of people competing for that is so much larger.
I want to talk about something else you mentioned earlier, which was about Pokerstars trying to change. Why are they making these changes? They're trying to eliminate the players that cash out the most and what games they play. I guess we can look at where they made the changes. So they took away Supernova Elite. Obviously, Supernova Elites were probably cashing out money. They took away Rake back above 510. Obviously, those guys are cashing out money too. Now they're raising the Rake at the heads up games. So obviously, we can probably figure the heads up players are cashing out a lot of money. Even the I guess the bum hunters or whatever, even at mid stakes, they're probably cashing out a lot of money. They're not really losing that much. So let's try to get rid of these motherfuckers as much as we can and send those fun players who are losing money into different games. And
I guess it's probably just such an easy comparison for them to just like, let's say you take two guys who are playing each other heads up. One of them's playing at 25.50 with 50 cents max rake, and then one of them's playing a 5K buy-in, like heads up turbo sit and go with $100 rake each or something like that. If they look at just, how many big blinds per 100 one is winning versus the other, and just see what their win rates are versus how much money they're pulling off the table for that person to win money, it's got to have been that, the heads up cash guy is like, if they're both winning 10 BB per 100, it's got to be like Pokerstars' take is like 10x as much from the sit and go as the cash game. And they probably want to do whatever they can to have it be closer to that atmosphere, where they probably realize, they're earning more rake than is being cashed out in sit and goes, probably by a lot. and they're probably taking the formats of poker that leads to money changing hands, leads to cash outs, that doesn't lead to them raking it a lot in time for people to cash out. And I think that's what their general mindset is, that if they feel that too much is being if they feel that like too much is being cashed out, they want to try to change that, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned there's probably guys like, I was thinking probably guys just checking the data, like, all right, let's plug this here, plug this here. It's sort of like, I feel like it's people without much actual poker experience, like understanding the potential, repercussions of the changes or where they might go. And it's just like, all right, like, okay, money here. Okay. All right. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. It's like, they're not very experienced in the actual poker world. I'm sure the guys on Pokerstars side who are familiar with poker are like, hey guys, I mean, this might be good short, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe their goals are fuck regulars. I mean, I made a tweet yesterday about, I mean, maybe I said maybe Baazov's a person that I should follow. I'm not sure anymore. I got to take that back. But, acquire a company, get rid of all the regulars who are contributing most money to the site. I mean, I guess they're not contributing. If they're taking money, they're not contributing the most money. And then profit. I mean, maybe that's how you should handle business. Maybe that's how business works. And we're all playing incredibly un-GTO, and Amaya is playing incredibly GTO. I mean, I think that probably a case to be made for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of the coin that I find kind of interesting is like I was recently talking to someone about starting a company, and they just made the casual point about how anytime you start a company, one of the great benefits of it, and this person is like an ex-poker player who's used to like, selling at markup and stuff like that. One of the great benefits of selling a company is that you can find investors or buyers who are willing to buy shares in your company or your company for more than it's worth. And basically, like, it made me sort of think about, the Scheinberg selling Pokerstars, that like, for all maybe they really wanted to keep Pokerstars, but they just knew it's worth $2 billion, and they found like a fish who will pay $5 billion for it, and like, oh man, this guy's gonna kill our company, but we'd rather have $3 billion more dollars, and this guy's like a raging whale. Like, looking at it, they said like profits are up from 88 million to 111 million in that article. Like 111 million profit for a company you paid $5 billion for, like those aren't good multipliers right there. Like you really maybe it was just like, they had to analyze the data, saw, hey, we're never going to be making a shitload of money. And they like looked at, then Amaya looked at the data differently, and they're like, oh, if we change this, keep the same number of deposits, we can make $1 billion a year off this $5 billion investment, or, something like that. I don't really know, but there's a chance that like they just put themselves in a no-win situation. And that's why they're having to be like a fun player. Cause like, oh, like we're fucked. Like we overpaid for this thing. Like, it's, I don't know. It is really, tough to know something like this, but it like after hearing like my friend's comment about that, it kind of made me, it made me realize like, yeah, like seeing what's been going on lately, like that can kind of relate to Pokerstars, where, it's tough to know what these things are worth for anybody. And it could just be, Amaya's just sees things are going badly. They see the market shrinking. They see it getting more competitive, and they're just like, let's do the best we can, maybe change something. Maybe we click a series of buttons and the company blows up and we hit a second poker boom. Like you never know, but I agree that like they're just doing such arbitrary things right now that it doesn't seem to follow a huge pattern. But one of the few patterns I can see is it seems like they're probably taking the games that a large percent of the money gets cashed out and trying to eliminate that.
So they're going to eliminate all stakes above 2-4. They're only going to keep 1-2 and below, where all the rake is basically such a huge part of the money that's being taken off the tables. So that'll probably be, I might be giving them ideas. I'm actually going to stop. I thought about writing something like this, but I'm going to stop giving these fucking people ideas, because before you know it, we're going to see no cash games above 2-4 anymore. So,
I mean, if they were to like, it's like the way they turned sit and goes into spin and goes or something. If they could turn cash games into some sort
stop
of like
it. No, stop. No. Listen. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to, I know they're listening. I know Mr. TOS. Shout out to Lee Jones. I know they're out there listening right now. I actually want to talk about this graph posted on the Pokerstars rake change thread as well. Let me go pull this up real quick because I thought it was interesting.
All right, sounds good.
This is a graph that Pokerstars posted in the rake hike announcement, where
this is a wild graph,
where they compared themselves to great sites such as iPoker, 888. Shout out to 888 Poker. They do a good job on their sponsored pros tweets. So I got to say they're doing pretty well too. 888 Poker, they're doing well. Party Poker as well too. So they compared themselves for the. I'm not even sure what the fuck this.
I think I think what they did here, and I could be wrong about this. They took a bunch of stakes. They set themselves to be like X, and they're saying, oh, Party Poker charges 7% more than us. 888 charges 16%, and I think that I don't know what sample of games they looked at. I guess this is it looks like this is total rake for cash games, and they're just saying that overall each of these sites takes 7 to 19% more rake.
Well, I have it here. So the above chart demonstrates the comparative level of rake that would be taken by Pokerstars if we use the cash game rake structures of other sites. So I read some, there's been a lot of interesting pieces written out there on different poker media sites. Shout out to my boy Robbie Jasinski. Shout out to Steve Ruddick. Shout out to Lee Davey. They've wrote a couple. Shout out to Dandruff too. I believe he wrote something up too as well. Obviously, everyone is saying these changes. Even the media people, the first changes they made, they're like, all right, these changes need to be made to save the ecosystem. And now the media guys are like, what the fuck is Pokerstars doing? Even those guys who,
it's the poker media in general. You need to be a little bit careful in reading it because effectively every poker media person is sort of like a sub affiliate for Pokerstars, where it's like their companies are in business because of Pokerstars ads, and as a result, they're not really allowed to voice their true opinions. So you need to be a little bit careful. Where like it's not like poker media is like some hard hitting media, like really getting down to the truth. They're the way we're concerned about our jobs. Like whenever poker dies, like poker media will die. A few years before that, and it's sort of they're just guys like us trying to make a living, and they're not like trying to like crack the case or anything. So I think you need to be a little like read everything that's written in by the poker media with a grain of salt.
Definitely agree with you on that part as well. Something about the graph that was posted, I wish I had the actual article up right now, was that we don't really know the data Pokerstars is pulling from in this situation. I mean, they could just like, who knows exactly what filter they pressed to form this graph. And, it doesn't really tell us much. I think they just sort of, made a statement and then they're like, all right, let's figure out a way to put a graph on this. Let's show something that supports our side of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, stuff like this, like that's the thing that's sort of like dangerous about statistics in general is like, if you give a smart person any group of statistics, they can find, like, if they have a goal in mind, they can find a way of making it seem positive for them. Like, as an example, when those strikes were going on, it happened during Poker Carnival. So like if maybe the strikes led to 30% rake, like less rake getting paid or something like that, but like there were 30% more people on the site playing like micros in these giant field tournaments, so like numbers were up even if like total rake generated was down. And it's so easy for like a statistics person to like say, look at the data that's going on there, and when I say a statistics person, this could be like a guy who took like grade 10 math or something like that, and like make good graphs that prove any point they want to prove. So I think that if the best they can do is that graph right there, the rake probably is not very favorable. Likely, even just as far as things like how they, manipulated the size of the bars, like you could easily have 100% be like the baseline, such that the Pokerstars bar looks like it's a non-existent
pull this back up to
bar.
show people what he's talking about. So on the graph, they start the graph at 65%. They don't start at 100%. They don't start at 0%. They start at 65%. And I guess they want to make
95%. Like basically what they could do. So previously they upped the rake 4%. They could include a bar for Pokerstars in the past, and basically zero it in at 96%. Show this rake increase, bumps it up just 4%, and then you have iPoker up 23%, and then you have and make it look like the rake on iPoker 6 times as high. It's so easy to just manipulate data to do whatever the fuck you want, and it almost makes me trust Pokerstars a little bit more seeing this, because they could have done more to manipulate the data here. So they that graph doesn't do a very like as convincing of a job of making this look minor as they could.
I think my camera might have switched around. Shout out to my camera. I'm gonna get some shout outs in the chat, man. We got a lot of people in the chat. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to the unretiring of my podcast, the emergency podcast here with Timex. We got a lot of people out there on Twitch. We got a lot of people out there on YouTube. My boy Kev Math, aka the Hammer, aka Big Puppy, corrected me and he said David Bamplu wrote the article, not Lee Davey. So shout out to David Bamplu. Shout out to my boy the Hammer, Kev Math, who was a recipient of an award at the Poker Awards in Los Angeles. I was not the recipient of award. Shout out to me for losing. Laura Johnson, happy birthday, my young, beautiful friend. Who else we got in the chat, man? We got a lot of regulars out there. We got a lot of people talking about Timex being one of the biggest losing 500 Zoom PLO players. We'll talk about that a little bit as well.
Wait. No, I'm actually probably one of the winninger 500 Zoom PLO players, seeing as I haven't lost anything. But I'm one of the biggest losers at 500 no limit Zoom. That's what they mean there.
All right, 500 no limit Zoom. For those that don't know, Timex was enthralled in a prop bet to beat 500 Zoom, and unfortunately, he came up a little bit, little bit. Yeah, whatever, man. It happens, man. Who else we got in the chat? We got Jonathan out there. What's up, John Poppy? Who we got? YouPorn. What? YouPorn 91. What's up, buddy? You must be one of those Pornhub regulars who plays the strip poker games. My boy Ross in the house. What up, Ross? Aurora Chad. Victor, Action Braun, Grips Viewbot. What up, Grips Viewbot? Pop Man on fire. What up, what up? D-Neg is a bad reg. What up, kids? Silver 7, Ball Balky, John Smith. Man. SD, what's up, puppy? All right, man. So you want to what something's interesting to have with you. You were your second pick in the GPL coming up here. Are you excited about the GPL? Are you excited about the Global Poker League in general? Do you know what the fuck the Global Poker League is going to be yet? Do you know what the formats are going to? Do you know anything about it? Your second pick of this thing.
Yeah, so I know a lot more now than I did 2-3 weeks ago. I'm pretty excited for the format. They've been quite responsive to player feedback. It's echoing on your end.
Hold on, Timex. You keep talking. I'm gonna exit out of this and come back in. I think I don't know what I did something on GTO. Okay, so you keep talking. I'm gonna leave.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
So basically, they've been pretty responsive to player feedback. I thought whenever someone who's not really a poker player, designs poker tournaments or poker structures, I have very low expectations. Even when people who are involved in poker do it, I have pretty low expectations. And I think here there were a lot of things that needed to get tweaked, and they've been really responsive to player feedback as far as tweaking that. As far as making the structures have more relevant play, as far as having the time bank, have games be quick without compromising the structure too much. As far there's a lot of good changes they've made. I'm not sure how much. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to just talk about this openly. If anyone involved at GPL sees this and messages me on Facebook right now or whatnot, I can probably
let's pretend someone's from GPL's message. Hello, Timex. What do you say? What do you mean? You talk about GPL. What do you mean?
Yeah. I probably should talk
with a GPL, Global Poker League. What do you mean, Timex? You don't know the information about the Global Poker League.
I guess not. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm working on my Alexander Dreyfus impression right now. So it's in the lab right now. Still, I thought
that was a broken Italian or something like that. I definitely didn't get French out of that. But one sec. So basically, I got a message from Dreyfus in proper English, much better English than you've been speaking, and he said, "Nope, you can't talk too much." So basically, I just say when this first got announced, I was probably less excited than a lot of people were, and even though I'm normally a pretty pessimistic person, my excitement levels have been constantly getting higher. I really like the team I'm on. I a lot of my friends are on the competing teams. I think it's a good group of people that are involved in this, and also the schedule is something that will, I think, work well for the players, well for the viewers. I'm pretty excited for this.
Are you going to be allowed to stand up and stare at people? Are you working on a new stare while you're standing? I mean, what? You only have 30 seconds to stare. I mean, you have you're going to stare before it's your turn to what's the idea? What do you are you going to be the guy that stares? What's
Yeah, the standing stare will. I'm sure it'll be going on. I mean, if it's really terrible for TV, maybe it won't so much. And it also depends on like who I'm playing. Like especially if it's, I mean, a lot of like a lot of like against the top few dozen players with good structures, I feel like I don't gain a ton from staring at people, but especially with quick structures like this and like shorter stacks and not that much money on the line, it could be the majority of players won't be tell boxes, in which case I probably won't do a lot of staring. It really, like, I think a lot of people think like when I'm talking to someone, I don't make a lot of eye contact when I'm like I'm not like outside of poker, I'm not really like a staring kind of person. It's just like I'm a winning kind of person and think that you gain so much information. Like I'm not doing this just to like piss people off or like, do it because it's abnormal. Like I just think that like I'm a tell box. I think everyone else is like a tell box, and there's just so much information being given away, especially when you have several minutes like to like look at people, watch all their mannerisms, and they're usually playing for stakes they're uncomfortable with. That I just like do this for information, and when the stakes for GPL aren't that high, and the time for decisions isn't that large, I don't think there's that much like room for people to crack. Like it's pretty easy to just like like sit there and play like a medium stakes tournament and get looked at for 30 seconds and not look incredibly nervous, like especially when it's mostly professional poker players. So if there's staring going on, I don't think it'll give anywhere near the advantage it does in the majority of tournaments.
Yeah, I think the GPL, I believe it is starting officially in 2 weeks. The event will be live streamed on Twitch. Let me pull up the date there for people who might be wondering. Timex, you're on the Montreal Nationals.
Yeah, exactly.
Montreal Nationals. Your captain of your team is Marc-Andre Ladouceur.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
And let me make sure. I just want to get that right. I want to give a shout out to AD, of course. I think a lot of people have been they say GPL this isn't gonna fucking. They're so, man. Some of these comments are just so. They're so. I don't know, man. I got faith, man. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes, man. We got AD. We got the Chinese investors. I mean, I got high hopes, man. I believe anything AD. I might not say that. I believe anything when AD talks. I feel it, man. I'm with him, man. I'm behind him, man. I'm going into a war for this guy. So I believe it's.
Going back to all those like negative comments, I feel like I feel like the sort of mentality that people have is that if they're right and it fails, they win. But really, like if it succeeds, pretty much everyone wins. Like poker could have an influx of players, an influx of people from the esports market and younger fans and things like that aren't really getting into poker the way they were 10 years ago. And if it fails, no one really wins. Like it's not as if they're like, yes, I predicted this company's failure from day one, like pat myself on the back, like good fucking job, you like won an argument on the internet 4 years later. Like it's really like even though I'm positive, I don't really think it's going to succeed, but I want to do what I can to try to help it succeed. Like that's kind of the reason for my involvement, is just like whatever. If my involvement takes it from like a 19% chance of success to like a 20% chance of success, like sweet, I'll do what I can. But it's sort of it's not like the guys behind 2+2 like ripping into this idea, like it's kind of to no benefit.
I mean, I think obviously they're going to need guys like you in the GPL just to draw in the female viewership. I'm sure a fit guy like yourself, nice, smart, funny, attractive young gentleman like you is probably going to be a big hit with the French Canadian female fan base. Of course, I'm sure with the international fan base with people like Kitty Kwa and those types of people who obviously have very high, I think very highly of you. I think you're going to be somebody that's going to be very vital to success in terms of broadening the demographic of viewership for the GPL. So I'm very happy to see that you did decide to be drafted.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Marc-Andre's drafting strategy was, but I did notice after the draft was done, a bunch of girls in the poker community were saying like, oh wow, like the Montreal Nationals are the one team where I'd buy their calendar, where it's Marc, me, Pascal Lefrancois, Xuan Liu, and Martin Jacobson. And I think like the poker world was like, like a bunch of the girls in the poker world were, I don't know, are rooting for our team, I think.
Interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Maybe he thought you're a better looking guy than Jonathan Duhamel, so he decided to go with you.
I don't know what the decision was there. I was happy to get drafted by Team Canada, but I definitely thought that, going into it, I thought it was likely, Duhamel would get picked first, or even, there's a bunch of people that could have been picked. Like, I was pretty pretty flattered to get picked, first round and second overall. So I'll, try to do Canada proud.
Well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. The first event will be April 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. It'll be streamed on Twitch, and you can follow AD, follow GPL, learn all about it, learn more about it, find more about it, whatever. And we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if the first event's going to be online six-handed. I think it's going to be an online six-handed event. I'm not sure the format, if they're going to be showing whole cards, exactly how it's going to work, what teams play who, but hopefully we'll figure out some more information there. And of course, if you want to support Mike Timex McDonald, you'll be able to order a Montreal Nationals hat or t-shirt to show your support of your favorite team. I don't know if that's true. I made that up, but it seems like a good idea. It seems like, are you doing anything like special out of your way? Are you going to be like, maybe getting in touch with the local Montreal media and potentially like doing anything for that? Like, any ideas or plans like that on your end? Or are you just sort of going with the flow and given what they might ask of you?
I'm probably more on the like going with the flow side of things. Like, originally, I was approached about like potentially being a captain of one of the teams involved, and I was just like, I've too much going on, and I knew it'd be a big time commitment. So I'm more just playing the role as like a person on the team, but not overly involved with like the media that could end up being surrounding this. So I'm going to be lower involvement. Like, I think Mark would know a lot better about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I talked with Mark when I was out there. I think we're going to be doing a podcast pretty soon, too, so he might have some more information as well. Balabaki says maybe they will draft Puppy in the wild card and they'll make an awesome calendar. Yeah.
That's what, basically, our team has actually been, voting on who we're, going to pick for the wild card. So I'll throw your name in the vote.
Gracias, Poppy. Well, I know maybe if you want to get a calendar shot, I can get Drew Amato, who's one of the photographers for the World Poker Tour, who also does some other photography. He'll be able to shoot you guys, I'm sure, if you're interested. So let me know. And maybe they should make the calendar happen. I'm not sure why they don't make the calendar happen here. Some people are talking about. Have you spoke about the alleged 4-time Sunday Million with Mustafa Kanit when he won?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
I don't know. Really? I've never heard. I don't know. There's something about you crossbook with Mustafa to.
I have no idea.
Okay. Alleged. Okay. I know. I got no idea what he's talking about there, guys. That sounds like it's something might be against terms of service. As you guys know, we do not advocate breaking terms of service around the podcast, and we do not break terms of service in any types of way ourselves. So yeah. Take some comments from you guys, take some questions. So we spoke about the rake changes. We spoke about the alleged insider trading allegations made against David Baazov. And I guess where do we go from here? Should people keep money on Pokerstars, in your opinion? Do you think the money's safe? Do you think that nothing to worry about?
I think it's safe. I mean, it hasn't even crossed my mind cashing out or anything like that. Like, I mean, if there's any like more strikes going on, I'll cash some more out kind of thing. But like, I still trust Pokerstars. Like, for guys who have like their whole bankroll on Pokerstars, like, I don't think that's ever wise. Like, not just now. Like, I think after Black Friday happened once, like, just seeing like stuff like that can always happen. It's just better to be careful. It's probably good to just keep the amount you need online for the largest downswing you could reasonably see yourself going on. And then keep the rest like in a bank account or something. So I think overall I wouldn't be too concerned about keeping money on stars or anything.
Yeah, I think for people, if you're wondering about that, if you have a situation where you can cash money out and it's very easy for you to redeposit, I mean, better be safe than sorry potentially from your perspective. But if it's something where if you have, $1,000 online or $2,000 online, if you cash that money out, it's then going to take you time to somehow put it back on, or you might have to make a shady transfer, with somebody that you might not know who they are. I think in that situation, you're probably better off leaving the money online. But obviously everyone has their own risk tolerance in the situation. So But I feel like things will be, things should be good. Things should be safe. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't be like, I'm not concerned. I'm not an expert on this, but there's like, I guess there's something to be said. Like, okay, let's say we're estimating the chances that PokerStars is bankrupt in a month. Let's
whoa.
just no, let's just say we're looking at just that.
Okay.
If PokerStars is bankrupt in a month, you shouldn't have money on PokerStars, and an event like this, whatever, it might have upped the order of magnitude that PokerStars is bankrupt in a month by one or two times, like 1 or 2 orders of magnitude. So maybe the chance that they're bankrupt in a month went from 1 in 5,000 to 1 in 1,000, or something like that. But it's something that is probably not going to happen, and it's probably pretty minor. But I don't think this, like, I think either way, it's dealing with, like, your money's probably less safe than it was a few days ago. Like, I can't see why it would be more safe, but it's probably very similarly safe, I guess.
Okay. Some people are asking about upcoming podcast guests. I believe, I mean, we might do an official one with Timex here. I think we just wanted to get something out there about the changes here. Potentially might be having something with Donnie Stern, talk about his recent, I don't even know how much he's on an upswing. He's on a very massive upswing. We'll talk some changes with him as well. I talked with Hollywood Haxton a little bit. I'm not sure if we might get something done. I can't think of I have a lot of people lined up, probably. I do have this bad habit when I go on trips, I talk with people and then I say, hey, you want to come on a podcast? And now it's like at like 50. So it's I got to fit them all in there. So
you should just like grind them out. Like, I think it's not even a bad idea if you're going to do a 2-hour podcast. Talk to one guy for an hour, then talk to another guy for an hour. Like, that probably keeps it, pretty fresh and prevents you from having to do like 2 months of podcasts every single day.
No, I think that's actually a really good point. I'm going to have Adam Small on, who is the co-founder of Pocket Fives, who seems like a very funny guy. And I know how you guys just love the poker media guys, but he co-founded Pocket Fives. I mean, it's a very successful company. So I'm very interested to talk with him. And I know he has some interesting stories from when he was younger. So I think that'll be fun. Potentially Prahlad Freeman, aka Spirit Rock, will be making an appearance on the podcast. We're waiting to set up a date with him. Someone said, what's up with Dan Coleman? I think we're going to get a Dan Coleman pod at some point in time. I'm not sure on the exact date with that. Olivier Busquet, I know we and him were chatting about doing something together in person, but we weren't in the same place together at all.
Are you going to do that before or after the fight?
I want to do some with him before the fight and just chat with him, just because I want to have him on. And I
think it'd be fun to talk to both of them.
Oh, talk with JC Alverado and talk with Olivier.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is gonna be a pretty big thing. I think there'll be a lot of hype surrounding this. I think it'd be fun to get a chat in with both.
That's a good point. I don't know much. I don't know JC that well, but I mean, I feel like they might as well want to. I think they both would want to talk about the fight at least a little bit. I don't really want to give away strategy. I think it's a pretty high stakes fight.
Yeah.
How much money they bet? I think they bet a lot of money on this fight, didn't they?
I think it's like either 100 versus 120 or 120 versus 150. I think. Yeah.
Have you seen Olivier Busquet lately and some of these shirtless photos he's posting on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, definitely he's looking a lot bigger than JC. That's for sure.
Let me ask you a question, Timex. TOS approved or TOS not approved?
What do you mean by TOS approved or TOS not approved?
Let me show you this photo, Timex, and then you're gonna tell me. Let me know what you'll figure it out. All right. So this is a current photo of Olivier Busquet. Do you think he got this way by following terms of service, or do you think he potentially may have broke government terms of service to get this way?
I mean, so the one thing I know is, like, I remember Olivier seeming not that big maybe 2.5 years ago, and I was thinking he was getting, like, he got big in a short period of time. I want to say early 2014. Like, I remember just seeing him at the table and thinking, wow, he's like a lot bigger than he was like 4 to 6 months ago or something. And I mean, if that's been continuing for 2.5 years, like, I don't see him that often. Like, it's not as if he was a skinny dude a year ago, is what I'm saying. Like, I think he's if he's been just like going to the gym, putting on weight for 2.5 years, I think that could be, especially with like some degree of strong genetics, definitely could be like with the terms of service. Like, in general, like, I go to a gym which has a lot of like people who do like bodybuilding and stuff, and it's pretty easy to just like assume everyone is on steroids. And it's just like whether this is 10, 50 or 90% of the guys, I don't really know, but it's just it's definitely something that happens a lot. And I'm sure there are guys who are in incredibly good shape who don't take steroids. But the vast majority of people who have like very good physiques do.
All I know is I got to get on the goddamn Olivier Busquet fucking workout diet plan. For fuck's sakes, man. Look at this goddamn guy. You need to draft. Is he on a team? He needs his own calendar. I mean, come on.
I think he got drafted by one of the teams. I don't know. I don't really know who's on which team, but I think he got picked on one of the American teams or something.
Yeah, well, keep it up, kid. Well, some people are mentioning obviously size in the cage doesn't necessarily mean anything, and obviously I think that's true. But it can hurt, right? It can't possibly hurt you.
I mean, it can hurt if you don't make weight.
Do they have a weight requirement they're going for?
I think JC has to be under 165, and Olivier has to be under 187. And I think Olivier is like in that picture is probably like 195 to 205 kind of range. So like that's you can get like you'll end up needing to like whatever shred some water or whatnot, but that's it's not like he's so far over that would be a threat. But I guess like once you're there, I imagine just the more size the better.
Should be interesting. I mean, obviously JC probably thinks he has an edge here if he's given up 20 pounds, and we saw with the recent mixed martial arts fight with Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz where he went up in weight and he looked like a goddamn animal at the lower weight, and then he went up and got destroyed. So, I mean, maybe JC might be underestimating the difference weight, but I feel like he's probably an experienced person in this regard. So, but at the same time, you never know. He could be underestimating his opponent. He could be underestimating the potential weight difference in this situation. So,
yeah, I mean, I think basically both of them right now. I mean, I think this isn't really to speak about their fight. It is to just speak about fights in general and just how guys perceive their own fighting abilities. I think both of them are overestimating themselves and underestimating the other person. Like I think that both of them kind of think they're a lock, and presumably one of them is nearly a lock, but I don't know which.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a lot of faith in Olivier's work ethic alone. I mean, he obviously has an incredible work ethic from his online poker times. He's had a ton of success at high-stakes online poker, multiple times Supernova Elite. So I think when it comes to work ethic, he clearly has it. I think when it comes to being a little bit crazy from some of the chat he may have had in the past, he's clearly a little bit fucking crazy. And, work ethic with intelligence, with craziness, may be a recipe for success in this fight. I'm very anxious to find out. Do we know where this fight's going to be?
I should know this. If anyone wants to like message me with where it's going on, I think it's in Vegas, but I don't know for sure. It might be in Monte Carlo. I don't really know.
Fuck. Well, if it's in Monte Carlo, I'm going. If it's in Vegas, I'm not going to go. I just want to go to Monte Carlo. It sounds like it'd be fun. I want to go on the Monte Carlo, or I can't say that. Never mind. Never mind. I can't say I want to go on any grinds. I forgot. I can't go on I can't. Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys.
The Monte Carlo grind is an expensive grind.
The Monte Carlo girl grind?
Yeah. So even just like go to a bar, drinks are like 30 euros, and like it's and there's just no single girls around there. Like it's probably not the ideal grinding place.
Listen, if Dan O'Brien's going to Monte Carlo, I'm going to fucking Monte Carlo. So that's going to be if the fight's there and Dan O'Brien's going, I'm in for Monte Carlo 100%. So guys, we'll take some questions. Poppy versus Timex in the cage. Make it happen. What do you think, Timex? Me and you in the cage?
I don't think I've never been in a fight, and I don't ever really want to get in a fight. I actually had 3 concussions by the time I was 9 years old. I was kind of like, this would have led to some serious social ostracism, although probably would have like made me better at poker. My parents wanted me to wear headgear to school. They wanted, basically my doctor had to talk my parents out of getting me to wear headgear. And basically, they just said, be careful. Basically just said, never let him do boxing, discourage him from like contact hockey, football and stuff like that. But, the main thing is just saying like, don't ever let this kid box. So I haven't had a concussion since I was 9. So I've been lucky there. But I was accident prone as a kid.
I'm trying to find a picture of you with braces because I want to put the picture of you with braces up to also picture the potential headgear you might have wore too. So that would have been quite the look, buddy. I gotta say, if people saw you then with the headgear and they saw you now, they'd be pleasantly surprised. I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. On the the looks upswing, I suppose.
Definitely on the come up here. Guys, you have some questions for me, guys. If you guys have any questions, go ahead. Jonathan says, Puppy, ask Mr. Timex, best advice in life.
Best advice in life.
Best advice in life. What's the best advice?
I mean, that's pretty tough. I guess one of the big things is just like and I'm sure everyone's heard like tacky shit like this, but like the journey to get where you want is what you should be enjoying more so than the destination. Like almost every time I've achieved something, I appreciate it less than the actual process of achieving it. Like for me, the funnest part of my poker career was like, building a bankroll, moving from $10 tournaments to $20 tournaments, not like playing super high rollers against Phil Ivey. Like, I really, the actual, like when you're improving at things and working towards stuff, that's always enjoyed the most. So I think that, not getting too caught up in, wanting, to have like this much money or have this kind of job or have this education or fuck this girl or whatever it happens to be, just enjoying what's going on while you're working towards that, rather than just trying to get to the destination as quick as possible and dislike the process of getting there.
So you're saying is that the grind up is better than when you get there and you have to maintain it or reestablish a new grind.
Yeah, like no matter what, it's just kind of like whatever, like desire fuels more desire. Like when you want something that you don't have and then you get it, you probably just want something like more substantial that's tougher to attain. So I think that just kind of enjoying yourself along the way is important.
Rainey asks, ever spent poker money on a hooker, any of you two?
What did he say, sorry?
Ever spent poker money on a hooker, any of you two? Great question, Rainey. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, no, I've never been with a hooker. I have no like opposition to it.
Yeah, okay.
No, it's not. I'm serious. Like, it's likely at some point I will. But it's just
why?
Something...
What are you talking about right now? Why was it likely you will?
I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, I haven't been in situations where I'm like, oh, I'd like to like fuck a hooker right now. But I think that especially as like, I get, like richer, busier, enjoy going out less. There could be more situations like when I'm like if I'm like single and 40 or something where I'm like, oh, like it'd be sweet to like, like fuck one of the like hot young girls that like used to be attainable but is no longer. Like, it's sort of I think it's definitely something that I think I have a favorite to do it at some point in my life despite having never done it.
So we're getting some chatter here that you may have from Tony Dunn. Shout out to Tony. What's up, puppy? He says, I think Mike has been with a hooker but didn't pay for her. How do you?
Tony might be right about that one. There's I don't know. There's definitely like one girl I was hanging out with for a while where, I mean, I shouldn't say too much about things, but she could have been a hooker at some point in life.
Oh, well, if that's the case, yeah, if that's the case for sure. What do you think the odds of PLP saying yes? Speculating.
If I expect PLP saying he has, okay, let me try to guess. Like, I think honestly, I think it's really low. I'd say like I mean, some of my friends I explicitly know they haven't. Pratt, like I don't know explicitly they hasn't, but I guess under 5% that he has. I don't know.
Bank it's booked.
Booked,
fucking booked.
I mean, I think it's pretty low unless you have like inside info or something.
That porn star from Duke Pratt got with when he was at Duke. Ariel asks, could have been.
Yeah, that might have been it.
All right, let me troll for some more questions here in the chat, and obviously the answer for me is we might have tried it out once. Well, I believe things happen. Let's see. Let's go back up here in the chat here. Thomas Clark says, hey to Mike. Was on his dodgeball team in Dublin. Was a lot of fun. Yearly plans. Do you have any plans? What are your plans here coming up for the next couple of months, Mike?
Going to Monaco. I'll go play the World Series main event. Then I'll probably do whatever EPTs there are next season. If there's any big tournaments in Canada, I'll play them. Scoop W Coop, and then overall, I mean, that won't add up to too much for 9 months of poker. Overall, I think that this year was probably about the most live poker I've played in 5 or 6 years. And I think I'll probably scale it back a little bit for the next year. Probably just play, say I went on 10 trips this year, go on 6 or 7 trips next year or something, and just relax at home a little bit more.
What do you do when you're at home? Like, are you still working out a lot? Are you climbing? What are you doing with most of your time when you're at home? Having people come into town and work in the lab behind you while you're podcasting with people?
Yeah, so I've been climbing a fair bit. I was traveling the last 2 months and basically didn't climb for the whole time. So just kind of getting back into the swing of things. I got in, pretty bad shape over the last sort of 4 or 5 months of not being that consistent with working out and stuff, and trying to get back into a good routine. I booked a workout bet with my other roommate, and I've just been spending a decent amount of time on that. I'm in the process of some people I know are starting a business, which I'm involved in, and I've been spending some time with that. And then also when I'm not home that often, a lot of times just spent friends, family, catching up with people and whatnot. So I'd say my life is pretty relaxed when I'm back in town.
Sounds like fun, Poppy. How's the workouts been coming? You eating the game? Before you were putting on a lot of size last time we saw. I can't see now. You're wearing the long sleeve shirt. I don't know what's been happening with that, man. Are you still going to try to be one of the biggest poker players in the world, or?
I don't think that was ever really. I don't think that was ever really a goal of mine to be one of the biggest poker players. I know I was trying to get big. I guess actually when I retired from poker or whatnot I was. When I took a year off, I was super consistent. That's probably the only time in my life where I've basically been in the gym pretty much every day and working out with people that are a lot stronger than me and stuff. And during that time, I put on a good amount of size, but probably came back 4 years ago, and getting big hasn't really been a goal for the last 4 years. I want to stay in shape. I want to have a good strength to weight and stuff, but I haven't been bulking in quite some time. So I'm definitely not trying to be one of the biggest poker players at all. Just trying to stay general good overall fitness.
Yeah, I think I'm with that too. Obviously, I'm playing a lot of basketball. I was at the gym for today for way too many fucking hours. So getting big isn't necessarily GTO when it comes to climbing or basketball, or I kind of want to play some other sports too now that I've got so obsessed with basketball, and it's all men. So I just want to do something where there's more than 4% women that play. I got poker and now basketball. So I want to broaden my horizons a little bit. I mean, I enjoy men on men. I don't. I want to do something where there's a equal amount of sex happening there. So
yoga.
Well, I feel like that's weighted the other way. Then you know what I mean? It's 96% women there.
You should get into volleyball.
I was thinking about volleyball. You ever played volleyball, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, volleyball, I played for my city team growing up, and if I was a little taller, I probably would have played in university. But yeah, basically I'm I'd say previous to poker, my two competitive outlets were volleyball and chess. And then basically after basically as I started getting really serious about poker, that was when I started university, and then I could have kept playing on the city team for my age, but I wasn't good enough to play on the university team. And then just kind of put volleyball to the side. I still play occasionally recreationally, and am anyone who's played a lot of volleyball is a lot better than people who just play beach with friends and stuff like that. So I'm pretty good at that now, even though I don't play very often. But it's just it's definitely a good sport where you just you usually have at least 1/3 girls, and it's predisposed to being girls that are decently in shape, because especially if you're playing beach where they want to look okay in a bathing suit and stuff like that. So it's definitely as far as sports to play when meeting girls, it's for sure decent.
I don't want to meet girls. I just want them to be present. I just want to see them. I've been seeing men only for 9 years now in my hobbies and profession for the most part. So I just kind of want to expand my horizons a little bit, and I'm networking, Mike, for future podcast guests. That's what I'm doing.
You're networking for future podcast guests? Okay, gotcha.
I mean, yeah, you can meet anyone and say, hey, you want to come on the podcast sometime? I'm in LA. I met people. I'm like, hey, I got a pot. You want to come on the podcast sometime? They don't even, not even associate with poker.
Gotcha. I'm guessing that'll get less viewers than getting a poker player on the podcast. But I would say, yeah, I mean, there like I think a decent number of sports. Like if you just play like pretty much if you play any sport that's not that competitive, you can have a decent number of people playing co-ed. Like if you just go play, the lowest tier of soccer, there'll probably be a decent number of girls. Go play the lowest tier of baseball, there'll be a decent number of girls. Like it seems that as things get more competitive, the majority of leagues will become more male dominated. Say for my sister, she's very good at volleyball. Like she played like on her like university team, and she still plays like 5 nights a week, even though she's not in school anymore. And basically, like she'll play on teams with guys who are like ex-professional volleyball players and stuff like that, because like the skill ceiling in most sports just gets so high, and it basically ends up being where it'll be 4 guys and 2 girls on a team, and like she'll be playing with like guys who are like 6'8" and played a few seasons over in Europe and stuff like that, and they get on sick teams just from being like a girl who played in college. Like it's very I think that there's a lot more girls playing sports when it's not like ultra competitive, I think, especially for sports that don't have requirements where you need X girls on a team.
Yo, that is some GTO shit right there for sports selection, Poppy. Someone says do gymnastics. All right, can you do a handstand, Mike?
No, I can't do a handstand.
All right, I'm gonna try. I'm practicing ever since the Sam Aberdeen podcast. I've been practicing my handstand. I might actually do gymnastics. Hold on, let me try this one more time. Hold on.
All right, good luck.
This is what you should get into. Mike, get into the handstands, kid. If I hurt myself, can you finish the pod, please?
All right, sure, sounds good.
Okay.
Are you doing it up against a wall?
What? I'm not a professional fucking handstand guy yet, kid. Hold on.
I mean, like anyone could do this, I think.
What are you? Come on, man.
Okay, sorry, I don't mean to undermine.
Oh shit.
I'll count it. That was pretty good.
I'm just a little nervous. I want to break my fucking neck. But all right, that's what I've been trying. Gymnastics. I'm trying to do handstand. First step in podcast history. All right, Timex, you want to give us a handstand potential or what?
I don't think so. I don't have a lot of like wall space here, and I don't want to.
What a pussy! I know. I feel like I just pussy up pretty bad. I didn't. Yeah. All right. It's been a long day, man. My life. Yeah. Whatever. Fine. I'll get better at that. One of my goals is to now get better at handstands.
Yeah. All right. Good luck. Good luck with that. You can't get much worse. I can at least tell you that.
I'm a fun player at handstands. Confirmed. That is definitely for sure. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Everybody else we got to say? Any comments? Any more questions in the chat, guys? Here. What a fucking lame. I love these fuckboys in the chat. Oh my God, Joe, you couldn't do a handstand. What the fuck? You couldn't do a fucking handstand, buddy. Oh my God, these fucking dorks in the fucking chat. I don't know what I did in my computer. I pressed the button, I think, and now there's something. Oh, okay. Now we're good. All right, guys, get out the basement and do your own fucking handstands. And now you can see what something looks like. That's it. Ask him why he hasn't been playing Prismata. That might be the last one.
I think like basically me not playing Prismata, it's sort of like I fucking love Prismata so much, and basically when I play it, it makes me like enjoy everything else less. Like when it's like I'm the type of person I need some competitive outlet, whatever it is I'm doing. Like when I'm at a poker tournament, I'm less motivated to go rock climb. When I'm climbing a lot, I'm less motivated to play like weekdays at home. And when I'm playing Prismata, I'm less motivated to do any of that shit. Like it's like my favorite game I've ever played. I know I have an addictive personality, and it's just when I'm playing it, I just play it like all day, every day. And while I'm really happy when I'm playing it, when I'm not playing it, I'm just kind of bored doing everything else. So I'm kind of in a spot right now where when I've been relatively busy, I don't want like all my free time being consumed with this game. So I've been kind of taking a few months off, and then if I go through a phase where I'm kind of bored again, I might go back to the Prismata grind.
No, it makes sense. Those games are the game we're talking about is a game called Prismata, guys. It's a game that is was founded by some friends of Timex. Are you an investor in that game as well, Mike?
Yeah, so I am an investor, but I will say I'm mostly invested because I like the game so much, not like I'm bullshitting that I enjoy the game so much to try to encourage people to play or anything like that. It's sort of like a Hearthstone with no luck.
Oh.
Yeah. It's pretty similar to that, or like a turn-based StarCraft. It's kind of similar to that.
Well, I guess we're going to leave on that note then. Shout out to Prismata, guys. Make sure you guys check it out if you're interested in spending all your time playing another addictive game. Timex, anything you want to lead the people with?
No, I mean, I just want to say, like, Joey, thanks for having me back on. I always have a fun time on the podcast, and I'm interested to see how things play out, both with the rake increases and the insider trading in the upcoming days, weeks, months.
All right, guys, I'm happy to be out of unretirement. Thanks a lot, Mike, for coming on at the last notice here. I appreciate that. I enjoy the conversation. And guys in the chat, you want to follow Mike on Twitter at Mike McDonald89. He'll be playing in the debut of the GPL coming up on April 5th at noon Eastern, which you can find on Twitch, I believe, on the GPL page. That's it. Much love. Peace out, guys. I'm not sure the next podcast. It should be this week sometime. I don't know the guest, but I'll let you know. Follow me on Twitter or the Facebook group or on 2+2. Adios. Peace out. Much love. Mike, I'll talk with you soon, man.
Take care.
All right. See you later.